Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel. Too often people say move on, forget the past. You should begin a new life. People things that are similar to it. And people mean well. Okay, I'm not going to ascribe any bad intention to them because often they don't have it. They just, at least according to them, they're doing the right thing by telling you to move on. Of course, you shouldn't hang on to bad stuff that happens to you mentally. Nobody in the right mind would do that. On the other hand, to just repress as if nothing ever happened, that's not practical. That's not realistic. Okay, let me give an example now. Well, this happened a few decades back. It was before war in Cambodia. There was a civil war. And there was also the Vietnam War at the same time. The United States got involved in Cambodia because allegedly there were supplies provided to the Viet Cong through Cambodia. And the Viet Cong was the enemy of the United States. So the United States entered Cambodia, they planted many mines, but suddenly the Vietnam War ended and the United States left. Army left Southeast Asia, at least the mainland. The civil war in Cambodia ended also. Over 1 million people died. I believe it's far more, but many Cambodians killed their own. So people wanted to move on. So they started new projects. They built I believe they built new towns, and they allowed foreign investments in Cambodia. So the government just wanted to move ahead and don't linger too much about what happened. But here's the thing. Those mines that were planted by the United States Army, they were not removed. So what happened decades later, it still happens that someone, for example, is walking in a park or on a farm and bang, a mine goes off. Someone loses a leg or someone dies. That's why you have people walking around with missing limbs in Cambodia. Now ask yourself, why didn't the Cambodian government at the time realize, hold on a minute, a war happened. We killed many of our own. That's a big tragedy. We need to move further. That's true. That's why we need to move further wisely. Okay, the war's over. The United States Army isn't here anymore, but we need to evaluate what the United States Army did in its entirety. Oh, they planted mines? Okay, so we need to start an investigation to dig up all those mines so that there is no danger anymore of what happened. After that, we can invest in the economy and the country can recover. That is what should have happened. But did it happen? Well, obviously it didn't happen. Or if it did happen, it didn't happen in the right manner. Because you still have hidden mines here and there in Cambodia. Now, let's give another example now. You have this guy called Luis. He's Portuguese. And he gets involved with someone from Britain. Good romantic relationship. Things clicked. And Luis met her parents, her relatives. It all looked very nice and happy. Good. So they are together, they got married, they live in their home in Britain. Luis has his job, she has her part-time job. So everything seems very okay. So everything seems completely at ease. But then a friend of Luis comes over from Portugal. He's a very good friend of Luis. They've known each other since high school. That is almost 15 years. And this friend, let's call him Pedro. That's the Portuguese version of Peter. In Spanish is Pedro. So Pedro arrives at Luis's home, meets his wife, and the friend is also allowed to meet the family-in-law at a barbecue. When Pedro arrives over there, he sensed a bad vibe around there. He felt quite uncomfortable. And he also noticed that 2 of the relatives were staring at him all the time. When the barbecue was over, Pedro asked Luis, these people your family-in-law. Are you on good terms with them? And Luis looked at him and said, Pedro, come on, man. Of course I'm on good terms with them. I wouldn't have married this chick if her family-in-law was antagonistic towards me. You know me, man. I'm not dumb. Okay, I used to have a few girlfriends here and there back in high school and all that. That's over, man. I'm a grown man. Then Pedro told him, Luis, I'm not doubting your mental capacities. You're quite smart. You're quite intelligent. But I'm telling you, sometimes there are things you just don't notice. I'm happy you're married. I'm happy that you're a happy man, but please, watch out with those people. I came here and I'm telling you, I received a bad vibe of them. And some of them kept staring at me in a very hostile manner. But then Luis told him, Pedro, these people are just more direct. We're not like that in Portugal. Don't worry about it. About 2 years later, after first child was born, Pedro contacted Luis again to congratulate him with his daughter. And the friends were just chatting. But then suddenly, Luis realized that almost none of his family-in-law sent any cards, nor did they send any messages on social media congratulating them with their new child. And Luis said this to Pedro. He said, Pedro, remember about 2 years ago, actually 2.5 years ago, when you came over at that barbecue and you told me you had a bad vibe coming from those people? Pedro said, yeah, I remember that. Well, Pedro, our daughter was born 2 months ago. I only received two cards. And those 2 cards are from people that I've married into my family-in-law. They're not even my people of my family-in-law themselves. So they didn't even congratulate us with our daughter, who's also a part of them. And then Pedro thought, what? Come on now. Luis, you told me that you know what you were doing. I trust you, man. You don't put yourself in danger like that. Luis now realized that indeed the situation didn't add up. But another year passes by. Now Luis finds out that his parents-in-law could not get along with each other at all. They were still married, but he now noticed how angry they were with one another. He never noticed this before. So he talked about it with his wife. And his wife told him, don't worry about it. It's just Dad. Dad has a temper. He used to be in the army. He didn't really get over losing some friends. So don't worry about it. Luis, who didn't see any harm in the situation, forgot about it. But this was a big red flag that Luis should have noticed. Then another year passes by. And now Luis gets the idea that his wife is cheating. Out of the blue he gets this idea. But he has no evidence whatsoever, so he thinks, well, maybe it's just the devil messing with his mind, trying to destroy his marriage, so he just brushes it all off. But then, suddenly he noticed that his wife was more often away from home, even though she only had a part-time job. He thought, okay, maybe she just needs to work some extra hours and they're paying her. But when it endured for more than 4 months, he realized, hold on a minute, this doesn't add up at all. Then he contacted his parents-in-law to ask about his wife, who's their daughter, and they didn't talk much to him. They just said they were busy and they hung up the phone. And he was thinking, okay, what is this? Then Pedro encounters a former classmate of his wife. And he asked her what she was doing in town. She said, I just met your wife at Starbucks. We had a long chat. And thought, oh, okay. She never really mentioned you. So the former classmate, I want to say, was also one of her friends, explained to Louise, your wife and I, we had a big fight a few years back. I was dating a guy, she had interested in the guy also, and she even became pregnant of the guy, but she had an abortion because her parents didn't accept it. And I was very upset that she was sleeping with my boyfriend at the time. When Louise heard this, he was thinking, what? He was quite shocked. She never told him any of this. So he continued asking questions, and the former classmate told Louise her parents are not very healthy. They're quite narcissistic. That father of hers, he used to beat that woman often because that woman used to cheat on him. And your wife grew up in such an environment, and there were times she was the target of her parents' rage. There were also other conflicts within the family that were not resolved. But every year they come together at the barbecue just to be together as a family, to be at ease. And I realized later that she slept with my boyfriend, and I'm saying ex-boyfriend at the time. It's not my ex-boyfriend. She did it because she felt as if she was losing. She had this abandonment issue that developed due to her relationship with her parents. Well, about a year ago, we catched up, we made amends, and we moved on. But she told Louis, Louis, I'm not sure if your family-in-law has moved on from their past conflicts. And I'm not sure if your wife has moved on either. So just be alert when you're dealing with those people, okay? And the former classmate left. A week later, Louis asked Pedro, who was in Lisbon at the time, to research something for him. And Pedro did it. Pedro is a private investigator in Portugal, so he took the case for free for his friend, and Pedro researched the past of Louis' wife. And Pedro found out a lot of crap about Louis' family-in-law, but he also found out who that guy was that his wife was involved with years ago. And Pedro found out that this guy now works at the same company where Louis' wife is working. He is a manager over there. Pedro also noticed that shortly after the pregnancy of Louis' wife got a higher position at the job. at the company. But she didn't qualify for that position, yet she received the position. And Peter was thinking this doesn't add up. So he shared this with Louis, and Louis immediately understood what was going on. Now, this was a long parable. I understand it. I made a parable about a political conflict that wasn't dealt with correctly, and I made a parable about family conflict that was not resolved in the right manner, and how this worked out in the individual lives of one of those family members who was now married to a foreigner. In these two parables, obviously there were things that needed to be dealt with correctly. They were not dealt with. So what happened? People so-called moved on, but the things that were not dealt with kept haunting them. In the case of Cambodia, the population was still haunted by the Civil War and the war with the United States that happened decades ago. Even though the war is over a long time ago, some people that went through it already died, and there's a new generation now. It still haunts them, the after effects of it. And in the second parable, the wife of Louis, even though she sincerely wanted to move on with her lives, she even decided to marry Louis, she was still haunted by the issues that were caused to her by her relatives. And she also did not deal correctly with what she did to one of her best friends. So what happened now, she still had those traumatic soul ties that she wasn't free from. And later, after she gave birth to their child, when they had some marriage issues, that urge for relief that was still inside of her was activated. And guess what? Who was around? That guy that used to cheat, that she was involved with, was also there. And the flame erupted again. And the guy promoted her to a high position at the job. So, you get what I'm saying here? People often want quick fixes. Just want to get over stuff or get things over with. That's understandable. You don't want to linger around an issue. But quick fixes are not always the answer. But that is what a lot of people want, quick fixes. Now, there are times a quick fix is practical, as long as quick fix leads to enduring solutions. But too often, people just want relief. They don't want a cure. That's how a lot of people are. So a lot of people settle for quick fixes. Well, I'm telling you, quick fixes may increase damage and harm. In the case of Luis and his wife, they worked things out later on, but still, it still affected their marriage and affected their daughter growing up. So what happened now? The same curse that haunted the parents-in-law of Luis was now haunting him and his wife. And they had a daughter. So that daughter now will turn out just like Luis' wife. And Luis' wife turned out just like Luis' mother-in-law. So you have three women. A grandmother, a mother, and a daughter. 3 generations. The same curse is haunting them. Why is the same curse haunting them? Because they are not delivered. They are relieved. But that is what it is with relief. Relief is just relief. That doesn't mean the danger has been removed. It doesn't mean the danger has been dealt with. The danger still exists. The danger is just not active. There's the thing. Danger that's inactive is still danger. It's just not active. And Satan can use anyone to trigger the danger anytime. That's why you ought to be delivered. And deliverance is an inside job. You ought to be renewed in your mind. You ought to unlearn dysfunctional and self-destructive ways of thinking, even if those ways of thinking are praised by society. Especially then, you need to be delivered. Well, that's it for now. I hope this video inspires you. I'm not prophetically speaking in anyone's life here. So if your situation is similar to what I've spoken here, well, that's not coincidence, because coincidence doesn't exist, but I'm not telling you what to do here. I'm just informing you so that you will look at the bigger picture. Don't settle for quick fixes. Be delivered. Walk by faith and overcome and overrule the negative around you. Be at peace.